Hey everybody, welcome back to the Big Show. My name's Matteo. We're going to a special edition. Yay! We'll talk about some Bond. As I mentioned in the last video, I wanted to take some extra time here and talk about some Bond stuff. Because Bond, much like Star Wars and Superman, has played a really big part of my life. So I wanted to, just get in and start talking about some stuff. And I thought about compiling lists about, like, say, my favorite villains and my favorite theme songs, but I just couldn't come up with, they're all really sort of, I hate to use this word, but I can't think of another, precious to me. So it's really hard for me to come up with like a definitive, oh, this one's better than this one and this one's great and blah, blah, blah. So right now when it comes to villains, I'm just going to hit on some villains in kind of no particular order. First of all, I mean, as a kid, who doesn't love Oddjob? What a great idea for a bad guy. Guy with a bowler hat who has blades on it and can cut off people's heads. I mean, that's just like ridiculous and yet brilliant at the same time. So that was one of my favorites. Which then, you just go to Goldfinger, which great things about him. I kind of like his look, just scary thing about him. And then even though it's not the actor's actual voice, that they dubbed it over, one of my favorite lines, which I remember even up to this day, is, "What? Do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond. I expect you to die." It's just, it's vicious. I love it. And then lasers. Cool. The first time lasers ever got used. People tell me it's one of the first times that lasers was used in movies. But certainly even so, it was one of the first times it was used in a Bond. Later then, Moonraker would go and destroy lasers completely in the Bond era. In the other episode, I was talking about Live and Let Die. Baron Zamidi, that guy is just kind of spooky, him and all of his voodoo stuff with the snakes and whatnot. But from that same memory I have of, my family watching that, I can just remember that was also at the time that same actor was doing 7-Up commercials. Crisp and clean, no caffeine, 7-Up, so like we kept making 7-Up jokes the whole movie. And, a movie that gets a lot of hate, but that I actually kind of like, and even rewatching it recently like I did, I kind of appreciated it, was Man with the Golden Gun. Great film, and so you got Christopher Lee as Scaramanga. I mean, come on. The guy's got a third nipple. Why isn't he an awesome villain? As I also said in the other video, Max Zorin, I mean, veto a kill. Yeah, I did say that sometimes a Bond movie can only be as good as its villain, and yet he's a good villain in a bad Bond movie. Which, of course, if you think about it the other way, Quantum of Solace, which a lot of people judge as a bad film, I don't think it's necessarily a bad film. I mean, I definitely think it's a middle act to a movie. And now, having seen Skyfall, it really plays into that kind of, Bond's finally giving up on his love for Vesper Lynd, and kind of just really letting himself be Bond and be a spy and, be the cool guy. And then, sure enough, that's what happens in Skyfall, where, he even kind of gives up his own family stuff. I don't want to give away much to that, so. But he takes the forefront to be that protectorate, to be that guy who, steps in between the bad guys and the good guys, and, the bad guys in the world. So back to Quantum of Solace, that was a bad guy who I really wasn't all that scared of, and it's been a minute since I've seen it, so I can't even really remember what he was after, except for water in the desert. He wanted to control the water in the desert, I think. It's just, that's pretty much what I think of that villain. So maybe there is some truth after all that, a Bond movie can only be as good as its villain. So that was a villain that I was less excited about. It's a movie which, although I like, as I said, I think is not as exciting. It has a lot more to do with Bond. But, speaking of Daniel Craig's, Sharif from Casino Royale, great villain, scary Scar, and really does outmaneuver Bond, which is, that's always great when you have a great villain who can outthink Bond. It's kind of like Moriarty and Sherlock Holmes kind of thing. Which, of course, lastly, coming to, probably the greatest Bond villain of all, as I mentioned in the other blog, Blofeld. Just, always good. And, I guess I saw it in my head when I was younger. I could only remember the Blofeld from Diamonds Are Forever. So then seeing him in You Only Live Twice was just like, oh, he's such a better Blofeld. On Her Majesty's Secret Service, I think, is a really great film as well. So, you know, Telly Savalas as Blofeld in that is really good. I think that's one of the best Bond movies, and I think that had Sean Connery decided to stay and do that, and that be his, like, swan song as Bond, would have been perfect. Would have been great. But they didn't do that. And now, switching gears to the theme songs, I kind of had to go about this a little bit scientifically. So, what I did is I went to 10 different websites. I'm talking about Forbes. I know, weird, right? But they had a list. Forbes, Rolling Stone magazine, cinemixtape.com, the Huffington Post, and a few other sites. Just Googled up and chose, 10 fairly good sources sites, including Rank It, which even had a list, which only had 8 of them on there. But I used it anyway. So I took those 10 sites, and what I did is I took their top 10 rankings and mathematically figured out how they ranked between those 10 sites, how they ranked in from 1 to 10. And so here's the list. It's easy. And number 10, believe it or not, is Skyfall from the latest James Bond movie. You know, it's Adele, and I'm not the biggest Adele fan in the world, but it's actually a really good theme song, and I like it, and it's fitting to the movie. So it's good. I like it, and I'm not going to disagree with that one. Number 9 is Thunderball, sung by Tom Jones. Number 8 on the list is From Russia with Love. That was sung by Matt Monro. Number 7, we have All the Time in the World. 2 pieces of trivia about that. That's the theme song to On Her Majesty's Secret Service. It was the first time that the title of the movie was not used in the theme song. But that'd be kind of hard to make a song called On Her Majesty's Secret Service, right? Much like Octopussy later. They decided to go with All Time High. No, but not this time. Because again, you can't really write a PG-rated movie theme song with the name Octopussy. Number 6, Diamonds Are Forever, sung by Shirley Bassey. She sang 3 Bond songs, another one of which is on this list, so be looking out for that one. Diamonds Are Forever, good one. It's the return of Sean Connery in the movie he should not have returned in, but I mentioned that earlier. Number 5, A View to a Kill by Duran Duran. I can't believe this made the list as often as it did, with a number of 8 out of the 10 sites mentioning this one, View to a Kill. Number 4, You Only Live Twice. People think this is Shirley Bassey, but no, it is not. It is Nancy Sinatra singing You Only Live Twice. The top 3 on this list were mentioned in all 10 of the sites. Then I ranked them based on where they were ranked in each of those. So number 3 on the list, Nobody Does It Better by Carly Simon. This is the theme song to The Spy Who Loved Me. 2, believe it or not, some people might think this was number 1, but it wasn't. It was number 2, which is Live and Let Die by Paul McCartney. You may be wondering, what could possibly be number 1? Obviously, it's sang by Shirley Bassey because you told us it would be. Well, that is true. It is sang by Shirley Bassey. And number 1, the number 1 Bond theme song, according to these 10 websites, Goldfinger. Goldfinger was ranked number 2, number 2, number 2, number 3, number 5, number 1, number 5, number 5, number 1. To give you an idea of how that became number 1, all those number 2s. Live and Let Die, believe it or not, was ranked number 1 twice, number 2 once, but then was also ranked as low as number 9 on one website. So do that with that information as you may. Now, interestingly, the most polarizing of all the songs was Die Another Day. Many people felt that this was the worst Bond, while other people ranked it fairly high, as much as to say, and it was ranked as 7, 6, and 6. So, interestingly enough, Die Another Day, the most polarizing of all the theme song. That's how those Bond theme songs shake out. What's your favorite? I would love to hear. So click it on the comments below and tell me what your favorite ones are. You don't have to list them all 10 unless you really feel like it. Well, I could talk forever and ever about Bond. If I had to rank my favorite Bonds, oh, man, that's really hard. Why did you ask me that question? I think that if I had to choose right now, gun to my head, I would have to go from worst to best. From worst to best. See, I can't just like write off George Lazenby because I really love On Her Majesty's Secret Service. I think it's a really good movie, and he's a fair enough Bond in it. So, Roger Moore, Timothy Dalton, George Lazenby, Daniel Craig, Sean Connery. I gotta do it. That's the way I'm gonna do it. Kill me. Flame me down below. Go ahead. Alright, well that's all I've got wrapped up for today. My name is Matteo. I didn't drink a beer this time because this one's only supposed to be a shody, and look, I'm at like 9 minutes and 20 seconds already. What can you do? I got a lot to say! Come back probably this Friday and I'll have this next week's up. I think I'll be reviewing Lincoln, plus a video game which I've just finished this week as well and I can't wait to talk about. My name's Matteo. I'll be back next time drinking a beer.